Thank you. Friends, the reason we are here is so simple. Never let anyone make it more complicated. Our government is not just complicit in a genocide. We are selling arms to Israel. We are sharing intelligence with Israel. And now we are welcoming war criminals. We are here to say, not in our names. We know that we see a Prime Minister who is happy to welcome J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. He is happy to talk. Why? He is happy to talk about the so-called special relationship. Meanwhile, we have Donald Trump threatening to turn Gaza into luxury condos. And if you've forgotten, this is our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who is an international human rights lawyer. Where we say to Keir Starmer, what about the Geneva Convention? What about the genocide? What about the many, many scholars all around the world who are saying this is undeniably genocide? And what I would also say is, even if for whatever reason you say this isn't genocide, what if you just said thousands of innocent people, men, women and children, are being slaughtered in the streets, their homes are being destroyed, their lives are being upended? Is that the kind of country we want to be? No. We are a country that believes in peace. We believe in diplomacy. We believe in raising our voices and speaking as one. So I'll finally say this. Do not let the genocide be separated from the austerity that is happening in this country. We need to join our struggles. This is a Prime Minister who can spend £15 billion on nuclear weapons, yet there are more food banks in this country than there are branches of McDonald's. These are all the results of political choices. We can make different political choices. So friends, go away from here. Talk to your friends. Talk to your colleagues. Talk about the genocide. Talk about the choices that are being made. And start or continue to organize. Because that is how we will change our towns. It's how we'll change our cities. And together we will change the country and the world as we continue to call for peace. Thank you.
Israel's genocidal president is not welcome here. At this very moment in time, bombs are falling on Gaza, families are being wiped out in a collective punishment, whole generations are being erased. This is not a conflict, this is not a war, this is genocide. And the man that this Labour government is rolling the red carpet for, Isaac Herzog, is not some neutral figure. He is the head of a state that is on trial for genocide at the ICJ, a state already guilty of apartheid. And in January 2024, the ICJ literally quoted Herzog's rhetoric as evidence of genocidal intent. He said there are no innocents in Gaza. He declared that the entire Palestinian nation is responsible, and he promised that they were going to fight until they break their backbone. These are not slips of the tongue. These are the words of a man who dehumanizes an entire population and openly calls for their extermination. These are the words of genocide, and the Labour government is welcoming this guy here. Shame on them! Shame on them! And if that wasn't enough, Herzog was pictured writing messages on bombs destined for Gaza, bombs that have torn children apart, bombs that have blown families up. That is the behaviour of a war criminal. And this Labour government doesn't care, but we care that we are a signatory to the Genocide Convention. That is not symbolic. That is a legal duty to punish and prevent those who are guilty of genocide, including bringing them to justice. So what does human rights lawyer is inviting this man, opening their arms to him instead of arresting him. What does it say when ministers shake his hands, hug him, and normalise his crimes? It tells us what we already know, that this Labour government isn't just complicit, it is enabling genocide. Shame on them. And we must also be clear about another betrayal. Our new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who stood on this very platform in 2014, encouraged people to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. She encouraged people to organise to end Israel's occupation and the liberation of the Palestinian people. But now, that same Home Secretary labels people of conscience as terrorists. Shame on her. And selling out the Palestinian people will never be worth it, and history will remember this betrayal. So just to finish, when the world and its governments turn their back on the Palestinian people, we here in London and across the country say not in our name. We call for the end of all arms sales to this apartheid genocidal state. We call for the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador. We call for an ending of all diplomatic and economic ties with this genocidal state. We call for an end to the siege on Gaza, and we call for the liberation of all Palestinian land. History will not remember those who were silent in the face of genocide. It will remember those who stood up, those who spoke out, and those who acted. So that is why we're here. So let's raise our voices together for Palestine, for justice and for freedom.
My fellow speakers and all of you as great people who are campaigning non-stop, eternally for the people of Palestine. But our government is welcoming the president of a country that has been found before the International Court of Justice as guilty of genocide. He shouldn't be on a flight to London, he should be on a flight to Amsterdam, and it's a short car ride from there to The Hague. This afternoon, Israel decided to bomb Doha. They bombed Doha because there were negotiations going on which may well have concluded with a ceasefire almost immediately. In their desperation, they just bombed the place where the negotiations were going on in order to stop them happening. That is not the sign of somebody that wants to develop a peace process. It's the very opposite of a regime that wants to occupy all of Gaza and is a threat to every single one of its neighbours, every single one of which has been bombed in the past 6 months or year by Israel. And unfortunately, it's British weapons, British planes and British bombs that are providing some of the wherewithal for Israel to commit its war crimes. So we say to the Prime Minister, we say to the government over there, you are just completely wrong on this. Don't give us your crocodile tears about the plight of Palestinian children in Gaza when you provided the weapons that have made them live in such a disgusting situation. And last week when we had our Gaza tribunal, we heard evidence from doctors who were having to operate without anaesthetic, without even antiseptic on children. They hated doing it. They couldn't stand hearing the screams and the pains of those children. None of that was necessary. All of the medicine, all of the food, all of the water, everything was available. Only on the other side of a fence controlled by Israel. We are watching the destruction of life itself in Gaza by the Israeli regime. We're watching the destruction of a whole people. But it's the fortitude of the Palestinian people that refuse to go, refuse to leave, refuse to acquiesce, that are standing up for their right to live in their land, in Gaza, and of course in the West Bank and the Jordan Valley. So our job has to be to keep the pressure on the British government, to keep the demand up. But I also think that Israel's desperate actions over the last few days, even over the last few hours, in their reckless bombardment all over, shows that they know they've lost all world support, they've lost all world respect, they've lost all world agreement to anything they say or do. It's only now the Israeli government and Donald Trump and apparently Keir Starmer that are standing together on this one. So we will be here as long as it takes. We will support the flotilla. We will support all those workers around the world refusing to handle Israeli goods. Those dockers that are making sure that nothing is exported, and those workers in the defense industries that are refusing to assemble anything that goes to Israel. Solidarity the world over. Solidarity of the people of Palestine. And when the Palestinian people get their freedom, as they will, I'm sure of that, it will be because of their strength, their fortitude, and because of our solidarity all over the world. Thank you very much.